Hey, welcome back everybody. It's Jack Graham, and we have another video today here for you. We're going to do a couple things. We're going to show you a couple new records that I came by recently, and in addition, a couple interesting things I found when we moved, and maybe even something about a book that I just picked up. Anyhow, thank you all for being here and taking some time. If you like what you see, check the like button and subscribe. Do all of that. It helps helps the channel out. And again, thank you for being here. We're going to do a room tour also, so you'll see kind of what I use to listen to music on. Nothing real fancy, but some good equipment and sounds good in this room, so that makes me happy. Anyhow, let's get right to it. Some recent purchases. Let's start with the Sonny Criss record. This is a reissue. Not a reissue. It is a reissue. OJC from early '90s reissue of Portrait of Sonny Criss from the Prestige PR 7500 series. Sonny Criss, a good player. Did a fair amount of recording. This is a rather young Sonny Criss with young Walter Davis on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, and Alan Dawson on drums. Great rhythm section. 6 tunes, so they stretch out a bit. Really good sounding record. This OJC, I don't think it's quite as good as the original Prestige, which I no longer have. But it's just musically really a good record. Sonny Criss is a great player. Recorded back in 1967. He's very a lot of Parker, kind of Lou Donaldson type player. Technically a very good player and a tasty player. This is a great record. I'd love to see on the new Prestige series that they're putting out now. I'd love to see this one done again. What a great rhythm section. Paul Chambers and Dawson and Walter Davis. I mean, you don't get much better than that. Great record. These are around. If you see it, pick it up. Sonny Criss on alto, Portrait of Sonny. Frank Rosolino might be maybe he's my favorite trombone player. West Coast player from Detroit. Moved out to the West Coast and did everything from studio work to some major jazz work on the West Coast. This was recorded a couple of years before he passed away in probably about he died in 78, so I bet this was 75 or 6. This is done with a trio in Canada. Ed Bickert on guitar. There's no piano on here. Just Ed Bickert on guitar with the drummer, who I don't know, and a bass player I don't know, but they play well. On the Sackville record label. Really good sounding record. And hearing Rosolino play with guitar, it's really interesting. It's a really, really good sounding record. Recorded very well. And again, it's on the Sackville record label, which is a record label based in Toronto, Canada. Sweet and Lovely's on here around midnight. I Thought About You. There's only 4 cuts, so they stretch out quite a bit on this record, and it's really recorded well. It's around. I've seen these on Discogs. If you like Frank Rosolino, I think this is one of his best records, frankly. To hear him work with a really nice sounding guitar player, just lays down great changes and plays well. Ed Bickert on guitar. I've heard him in other groups. Always liked his playing, but Frank plays really well on this record. It's as good as I've ever heard him play, frankly. Okay, well, this is just a little view of the listening situation here. I use 2 turntables. On top is a Rega P3. It's been upgraded. If you look underneath there, you can see the aluminum sub platter and some other upgrades. It's a good little turntable. And it below is a P2. I use the P2 to listen to my used records, and the top one to listen to the new records. They both have the same cartridges. That would be the Exacta cartridge from Rega. I like the way it sounds. Now below that is my preamp. This is a McINTOSH C32. I've had this redone, recapped, new ribbon connectors put in, changed some RCA plugs in the back and redone. It's a great sounding old preamp. It's about 43 years old, but just a really great sounding preamp. And below that is an NAD, I think it's a 586 cassette deck. On top of that is the Rega power supply for the P3, and it changes from 33 to 45 real easily, so it's a nice feature. It's a salamander cabinet. Here are my speakers. They're 750B and Ws. And over here, you'll see a KEF, a KEF subwoofer. Amplifier-wise, you look down here, that's a PROTON AA1150. Great little amplifier. 50 watts a channel, but boy, it packs a punch. It's dual mono blocks inside almost, not mono blocks, but dual transformers. And it's a very clean sounding, it's like 7 dB of headroom in here. And I love the VU meters on there too. It's kind of cool. Very good. PROTON actually, I think if I'm correct, was a manufacturer for NAD for many years, and maybe they still are. I don't know, but it's a really great little amp. This big thing down here is a monster cable power kind of power corrector, I guess you could call it. There's a term for it. But you see those numbers changing? You think your voltage is 120 volts? It ain't. It varies up and down. But what this does is it stabilizes my voltage to all my gear, so that if there are any power increases after thunderstorms here in Tennessee or what have you, it's not going to affect the equipment at all. So that's the gear. Pretty simple. I have a desk here that I use to process some photographs for my photo business. In the corner here, we've got a bunch of CDs. Back in here, there's a bunch of classical and big band CDs, some books on top. Here's some of the records that are in this room. In the IKEA Kallax shelves, we have all kind of tone poets and labels up there, and then some alphabetized stuff here, and down in the bottom. In the corner, more jazz CDs, A to Z, and things. That white thing on the table there, that's a Orbi internet system. And of course, my listening chair is right here. And then in the corner here, well, that's my humming guru that's got to get put together here one of these days. I have a nice little cabinet here that one of my good friends built for me. Nice little record cabinet, and that's really that's it for this room. So, you know, it's about a 12, 14 by 14. It's a small room. That's why these speakers sound really good in here. Gears here in the corner, and I could sit and look out the windows. I could point out there now, it'd be pretty bright, but I could sit and look across, and you'll see the Smoky Mountains. So it's a really great area. Well, anyhow, thank you all for checking this out, and we'll get back again to the regular video here.